The hurricane season has begun, and it may not be long before we are tracking something. The first named storm of the season would be called Arthur. Now, we're not expecting anything in the near future, but some of the longer range data is suggesting that. I'm going to show you that in just a minute. That would be followed by Bertha. You know, it's supposed to be a, quote, mild season. That means nothing in terms of landfalls and related impacts. In the month of June, we typically look to the Caribbean, the Gulf, and very close to home. This is where storms typically form, about one every other year. We've had one the last 2 years. In fact, we had two in 2012 by the month of June. So we'll be keeping a very close eye on the southern Gulf and the western Caribbean. And if something forms here, it's usually steered west toward Texas because of strong high pressure to the north, or it's picked up by those late season cold fronts and it quickly moves across the state of Florida. So we certainly have to keep a watch. What's happening out there now? Well, there's an upper level area of low pressure drifting southward, and the airflow is counterclockwise around that. Those are the steering currents, and we're watching for possible development here in the eastern Pacific. Hurricane Center says there's a good chance we could have a named storm there. The steering currents around that upper low would pull it across the continent of Mexico. There also could be new low pressure centers form here in the southern Gulf. We're talking probably this coming weekend, maybe around the 5th or the 6th of June. And if the steering currents stay like they are now, that moisture, whatever it is, would be drawn in our direction. Right now, the tropical outlook is for no development over the next 5 days, but unsettled conditions could develop here in the southern Gulf and near the Yucatan Peninsula June 6th through the 9th. Once again, we're going to call that, quote, something. It's way too early to determine if it's going to be a tropical system or just an area of low pressure and where it would move, but the tendency here is for it to move into the eastern Gulf early next week. So stay tuned for future updates.